He's Carson Palmer, the former Bengals quarterback, Heisman Trophy winner at USC, and he'll tell you what he is joining us on behalf of coming up here in a moment. How are you, Carson?
I'm well, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I was curious, when you were leading up to the draft in, 2004, were there any rumors about the Bengals, or '03, the Bengals trading that pick? It feels like there's all these rumors leading up to the draft every year. I'm curious, were there any rumors circulating about you and the Bengals?
No, I mean, probably 2 or 3 months before the draft, I really started to see, clearly that they were going to take me. You go through the interview process. You're talking to coaches on the phone. You go out and visit the organization and visit the facilities and meet with the coaches and meet the players. And I could tell pretty early on that they were going to draft me, and there really wasn't a lot of talk. I know Chicago was right behind the Bengals that year. I think at like 3 or 4, there was some talk that maybe they would move up, but really it was pretty clear cut, and I knew with a couple months upcoming up to the draft that I was going to go to Cincy.
Any apprehension going to Cincinnati?
Not on my end. I was really excited. I remember going through. We got done. We played in the Orange Bowl in January, and then I started bouncing around the different agents and meeting with different agencies, trying to figure out which agent I was going to pick. And a number of agents had, plans to get to this team or get to that team. And I ended up choosing Dave Dunn at Athletes First and went with him and had a great career together. And he just kind of said, "What do you want to do?" And I said I wanted to be the number 1 pick. And I just went out and trained and got ready for the interview process, got ready for my workouts and all the things that came up. But there wasn't a whole lot of talk outside of my camp about anything other than getting ready to play for the Bengals.
You start to look at these prospects, draft picks, and with Joe Burrow, now we're starting to hear, well, he doesn't have a strong arm. And that's true. He may not have a strong arm. I always get nervous when I hear when somebody leads with, boy, he's got a big arm. Like, I don't care if my quarterback has a big arm. I want to know if he has a good arm, an accurate arm. But, if I look at what Justin Herbert has and I look at what Joe Burrow has, I can see why Joe Burrow is considered a better prospect, because he does have better accuracy. He can throw you open, whereas Justin Herbert has athleticism here. What should we really be looking for, listening for, when it comes to these quarterbacks and how it's going to translate into success in the NFL?
Yeah, a big arm is great, and it's sexy, and it's fun, and it oohs and ahs you. But if you can't find the soft spot in the pocket and create space within the pocket while your eyes are downfield reading a defense, finding the open receiver, and then deliver the ball accurately under pressure just as you're about to get hit right in the throat, nothing else matters. Big arm, tight spiral, all those things are all irrelevant. You got to be able to deliver the ball on time while you're getting hit, and also have some savviness about you moving within the pocket. So I do the same thing. I hear, he threw the ball 75 yards, off of one leg, or some silly stat. That's totally irrelevant. You got to be able to deliver the ball under pressure all game long for 16 games, and that's one of the knocks maybe on Tua is the injury history. And you look at all these injuries and all these little things keep creeping up. At the end of the day, if you're not able to play week in, week out and deliver the ball accurately, it doesn't matter how strong your arm is.
Yeah, I start to look at Tua, and I know everybody loves the way he throws the football, and they say he's a left-handed Drew Brees, which is way too much praise for Tua, because he doesn't strike me. If he's 6'4", nobody's saying he reminds me of Drew Brees. It's he's 6 foot, so therefore he's Drew Brees. I think I see more of maybe Russell Wilson with that athleticism. He does get out of the pocket a little bit, but he does have great touch and appears to be able to have all the throws that you want. Aside from the injury issue, and granted that's a big issue, what concern or concerns would you have about Tua at the next level?
Outside the injury issue, I really love everything. that injury issue it's so easy to sweep that thing under the rug. Well, he's got a big injury issue, but X, Y, and Z. No, it all starts with there. If you're having a difficult time staying healthy in college, it really worries me that you're going to be able to stay healthy for, 30% more games, 40% more games, and bigger, more physical guys hitting you and potentially injuring you. So, I mean, that injury thing really is a big deal. But the other thing that kind of jumps out at you is when you watch his film, he's playing with NFL receivers, and not just NFL receivers. He's playing with first and second round picks. And you look at these receivers they have on that roster, man, it'd be hard not to be productive at Alabama in that offense when you've got Henry Ruggs, and you have some of the speedsters that they have on the outside. They have 2 or 3 guys that are first or second round picks.
Judy as well.
Jerry Jeudy can absolutely. I mean, Jerry Judy's probably a top 20 pick, and you could probably say the same thing about Henry Ruggs. So that does concern me a bit.
Would you take him if you're Miami? If you're there at Font, you would not.
No,
the
injury thing worries me.
Okay,
I love his game. I love his leadership. There's so many things that you fall in love with him, but at the end of the day, one of the best abilities in the league is durability. And if you're not durable in college, it's just you very rarely see guys that aren't durable guys in college. And they get to the NFL, and all of a sudden they're healthy every week. That thing jumps out at me and worries me about Tua.
He's Carson Palmer, the former number 1 overall pick, joining us on behalf of LevelSelectCBD.com. Explain that. You've been involved with this for quite some time. Have you been involved with CBD as long as Jake Plummer's been?
Probably not as long as Jake has, but I've been using it I've been done playing for 3 years. I've probably been using it for 4 or 5. It's something I use every day now. It's funny we get done talking about injuries and go right into pain relief. But yeah, no, it's something that's a part of my life. It's something that I use it. As you remember, I've had multiple knee surgeries. I've had plenty of surgeries, but I have some serious ailments and some serious issues with just consistent pain and consistent aches. And Level Select is something I use on my knees, something I use on my low back. I've got 4 young kids that I'm consistently playing. My son wants to be a pitcher, so I'm down in a catcher stance. And, my daughter wants to ice skate, and I have to go ice skating with her. And ice skating is not great on knees and low back. So Level Select CBD is something I use just to get me through being a dad and feeling good, waking up in the morning and feeling good and sleeping well at night. It's something that is a part of my life.
Would you rather your son played football or baseball?
For me, football, because I have a really difficult time sitting and watching baseball games. But for him, football too. He loves it. I mean, it's something that we've put off. We have not let him play yet. He's going into 6th grade next year and going to be 12. And it worries me. I just don't think he needs to be getting hit in the head already and have all these little things start creeping up, in junior Pop Warner football. We've been pushing to let him play once he gets to high school, but he finally broke us down, and he asked every single day for, I think, like 4 months straight. And then you combine that in the quarantine, and you're getting asked in the quarantine if I can play football, if I can play football, if I can play football. And so finally we broke down 3 nights ago and told him, all right, we're going to let you play tackle football next year. Wow. So he's super into it. I'm super into it, obviously. Trying to start. We've been training since the quarantine started and getting ready for the season, hopefully that gets here this fall.
What advice did you give Joe Burrow?
When we talked, we really had just talked about the process. I said one of the most important things is just, when a team gives you an offense and gives you protections, just digest it and be ready to spit it back. So really it was, we've talked very briefly about preparing for the process, the combine, the draft, the pre-draft workouts, the pre-draft meetings, and really just, kind of gave him some insight on what it's like to go through, and just kind of small tidbits on getting ready for the draft.
Would you rather have an all-pro wide receiver or an all-pro lineman?
All-pro lineman.
Okay. Because you start to see where we focus in on the skill positions. We always do that. Then every year you'll go, oh, you drafted a tackle or drafted a guard, or he was a guard in college, now we're going to make him a center here. And we never talk about that because there's nothing sexy about that. But the importance of that, the offensive lineman, and trying to find these linemen, because the way college football is played, it's different for the linemen in, how far the spacing there, the blocking, the strat, all of those things. And it just feels like we get to the draft and we're like, all right, hurry up. Let's get to another quarterback or wide receiver or running back. We don't care about linemen, no. Did you ever get involved in the draft with the Bengals or any of the teams you played on, to say, hey, I could certainly use another lineman?
No, that was always the first words out of my mouth. Is we could always use another tackle or another guard or another center, but they're not sexy. They're not fun from a fan's perspective. That you took a guard from Villanova in the third round. I mean, that's just not. That doesn't, being a Cardinals fan, a Chiefs fan, a Raiders fan, whatever it is, that doesn't jump off the screen. But at the end of the day, if you can't step into throws, and you can't get to the top of your drop and get from your first read and your second read to your third read as a quarterback, man, it doesn't matter if you took 3 first-round receivers 3 years in a row. If you don't have the ability to get through the timing and rhythm of a play to get the ball to these exciting, sexy receivers that you drafted and fan bases go nuts for, then that guy that you drafted in the first round at receiver is irrelevant. I think every quarterback, it's fun to get a new toy outside, but man, it is a necessity to have guys that can hold up in front of you, and they are so hard to find, and they are so hard to coach. And it just seems like these athletes get moved. If once you get over 250 pounds, these great athletes get moved to defensive end, and these offensive linemen are having to block. I mean, you look at Jadeveon Clowney. Jadeveon Clowney's 6'7", and he ran like 4.4 at 275. Myles Garrett, I mean, some of these guys, they are getting so big and so physical. And you look at Chase Young, it's just hard to find a guy that can block him for 4 seconds. And it's a necessity. Every year there's more and more of these freak athletes coming out that put their hand on the ground and get after the quarterback. And you've got to have people to block for them. If you don't have people to block for them, it doesn't matter how many first-round picks you use on receivers and tight ends and these fun, like we're saying, sexy toys outside to throw to. If you can't get the ball to them, they become irrelevant.
If Chase Young is considered the no-brainer best player in the draft, why isn't he going number one?
That's a great question. I think that's, at the end of the day, when you're looking at Andy Dalton, who's currently under contract for the Bengals, who is a really good player. I mean, he gets a knock mainly because he played for the Bengals, but Andy can play, and Andy can. He may not be a number one pick, and may not be that guy off a draft board, but Andy's been extremely, extremely productive, and you got a chance to get a guy that can probably get after the quarterback 14 to 15 to 16 times, like a Von Miller type career at defensive end. That guy's hard to pass up. And the other thing about Chase Young too is he's great in the run game. So
because we don't know about Joe. I mean, Joe Burrow is not a given. As much as we want to say, boy, he's unbelievable. Okay, he had the greatest single season in college football history at that position. I grant you that. It's not a given. If Chase Young is a given, then I don't know. Maybe I'm overrating Chase Young, but it feels like nobody wants to trade up to get Chase Young, but everybody keeps saying, boy, he's a generational player. All right, I know you want to find your quarterback, but if I got a guy who can line up there and he can give me 10 years of all-pro status, and you would probably sign up. If I said he can give you 10 years as an all-pro, or you roll the dice on Joe Burrow, who do you take?
Man, I mean, that just shows you how important and the way that the league thinks about the quarterback position and just how important that position is. No doubt. I mean, you think back to the Mario Williams, Reggie Bush draft in like 06 or 07, whatever that was, where Mario Williams went number one, and everybody could not believe that Reggie went number two. I know Reggie's not a quarterback, but when people were looking at that, they couldn't believe that happened. But Mario Williams went out and got 12 to 14 sacks just about every single year of his career. That's what Chase Young is projecting. That is what you expect out of Chase. You're exactly right. There is a ton of unknowns on Joe. He played 1 year of college football. It is extremely risky, right? But you got to have a quarterback, and that position is, as we know, it's the position you have to have. Every team that is a Super Bowl contender has a quarterback. So until you have that guy, you're always looking for him. Now, Andy Dalton still is under contract. Chase Young's, as you're saying, could be the best player in the draft. Probably is the best player in the draft. I think it's a really difficult decision that they have to make. They have to either pass up on a guy that's a 14-sack guy, or go after a guy that could be the future of your franchise and handle the quarterback position for the future of your franchise for the next 10 to 15 years. It's obviously a big decision, a difficult decision.
Good to talk to you. It's levelselectcbd.com. Creams, roll-ons, and helps you live life after playing NFL quarterback for as long as you did. Hope you're doing well and the kids are being nice to you.
Oh, it's good. Thanks, Dan. Good to catch up, man.
That's Carson Palmer, levelselectcbd.com.